What's up, guys? It's NFL Week 8, and this is your first look on Draftkings, where we take a look at the Draftkings salaries, each position group, compare it, take a look at some matchups, and just get a feel for what the NFL Week 8 slate is going to look like. NFL Week 7, by the way, crazy week. One of the lowest scoring weeks so far, definitely the lowest scoring week of the year. There were some ups, downs, highs, lows. Worked out pretty good for me in the afternoon only slate. I was able to take one down. It's a pretty big contest. So even in a mini max 50-cent entry, little 2K winner there for me. The big thing I did here was, my Purdy plus 2 stacks. Was fortunate enough that one of them plucked Ricky Pearsall. And on this afternoon slate, just getting Ricky Pearsall in his 5 and not having Ayuk or Deebo Samuel made all the difference. We're going to go through a lot of these injuries from this weekend and kind of go over some of the effects. There are some players, some bargain players that we're going to be able to get on. A lot happened in NFL Week 7. So we're going to get into all of that and kind of how it's going to affect our Week 8. I want to throw a little congrats out there to Razzle as well. The Monday night 2-gamer really was great success for a lot of people. Razzle coming in 7th here, 3,500. And of course, Cool Edit Pros as well in our Discord. He actually double banked this one. I believe he put this lineup in twice. So 13K winner. That was the nuts for Monday Night Football. Monday night was really great. And like I said, afternoon slate was really good. For me, the whole slate was a bit of a disaster. The full slate. So we're going to look to make this full slate a lot better for NFL Week 8. That's for sure. We got to turn it around. But a lot of injuries will affect some of the players that we're going to be able to use in this breakdown. There are some bargain plays that have been created, of course, with Tampa losing all their wide receivers and with San Francisco losing Ayuk. So we're going to have some spots here that we can attack in NFL Week 8, similar to what we'd be attacking, let's say, on the waivers in our season-long fantasy football leagues. But let's take a look at the matchups for NFL Week 8. There's a big one. And realistically, there is one team that has been wildly mispriced to the point where we're going to be loading up on the offense from that particular team in this breakdown. There's no way around it. I think this is going to be what everybody's going to kind of almost have to do. It's just mistaken pricing. And, a lot of times that'll burn you. There's going to be chalk here, but we're early in the week. We're not worried about chalk. We're just worried about who pops the biggest in NFL Week 8. So let's just get a quick look at the matchups here. You can see here that the Dolphins are at home against the Cardinals. Dolphins, 25.25 point team total here. The return of Tua, that changes this whole Dolphins in situation. They're at home. This is going to be a lamb to the slaughter, I think. So we'll see how that one goes. Jets at the Patriots. Jets have a decent team total here. Patriots defense is really bad. It's not like in the past. So look for the Jets offense to style in this one. I actually don't think that the Patriots offense is that bad either with Drake May. He's really good. So maybe they could keep up, but the Jets, absolutely need a win. They need to style here to knock the stank off from what's been going on with the Jets the last couple of weeks. Got to knock the stank off. Eagles at the Bengals. This one is a banger, right? The Bengals, the Eagles, two teams that can score, two teams that don't play the best defense. I have to give credit to the Eagles defense. It has gotten better the last few weeks. They have a new defensive coordinator there. It takes some time to learn the system, and I think they are learning it. They are getting better each week, it seems, or they just played the Giants, and the Giants stink. It's one of the two things. Ravens at the Browns. Browns are a dead team, maybe not. I mean, I don't know. They got rid of Amari Cooper. They lose the quarterback. That's a net positive, losing the quarterback, but it remains to be seen if they'll play Jameis Winston or Darian Thompson, DTR. If it's DTR, I mean, they're just tanking it for the quarterback next year. If they play Winston, the team has some life to it. I'll be much more interested in like an Njoku if they play Winston here, but looks like a beating about to be dished out by the Ravens. That spells, Derrick Henry time. Packers at the Jaguars. Again, Jaguars are a team that you want to attack with opposing offenses. So Green Bay, fully in play here, 50.5 point total, 27 team total. It's never easy to kind of stack up. The Packers are a tough team to stack. They don't throw enough. There's too many wide receivers there and a tight end. There's like 5 names. It's too many. It's difficult. Makes it tricky. So it just does. Jaguars side, Jaguars coming off of their best game so far. Maybe they could build some momentum at home here. So we'll see. Am I going to be super interested in them? Probably not. Maybe that the tight end would be of interest there. Let's see here. Colts at the Texans, 26.25 point team total. Again, the Colts are one of these teams that we really just want to attack with opposing offenses. So Texans offense is a offense we like. There's nothing not to like here. I think this is Joe Mixon time. If I'm being honest, that's the way to go here. But certainly Tank Dell is back in the mix, and Diggs. All of the names that on the Texans should be in play here, as they are projected for 3.5 to 4 touchdowns, and I could certainly see it going higher than that. Titans at the Lions. Again, the Titans offense is pretty dead at this point. It's really just a situation where I'm interested in Lions defense here. As far as who's going to smash on the Lions, like the running backs, everybody. Titans are not a team where offense goes to, do well, right? Titans have played good defense. They've slowed it down. They've done a lot of stuff like that. But I think the defense is ready to break at this point, especially just the quarterback situation is so brutal over there. Falcons at the Bucks, division rivalry. The Bucks are a team in trouble. They lost Godwin. They lose Evans for a few weeks, probably. Godwin probably for the season. So they're a team in trouble. Baker Mayfield's going to have a hard time putting up numbers without his studly wide receivers, but there are bargain wide receivers on the Bucks in this matchup that we could target this week that will allow us to play whatever we want in the other positions. So we have to pay attention to the sort of backup wide receivers, the guys who will be elevated on this Bucks team. So we'll keep an eye on those guys as we break down the wide receiver position, because that is where this is going to take place. Saints at the Chargers. These are slow teams. I'm surprised at how high even the team total is for the Chargers here at 23.5. Saints are a dead team. No quarterback. Quarterback's terrible. The rattlesnake, not good. This is a Chargers defense smash spot. We might want to consider like a J.K. Dobbins here as well. J.K. Dobbins coming off a pretty bad game, I think, on Monday. Bills at the Seahawks. This has some upside potential. 47-point total. 25-point team total for the Bills. The second game with Amari Cooper, will he be more involved? It's starting to be a little crowded in terms of Bills pass catchers with K-Shack, Cooper, and Coleman. There's just a lot of them at this point. None of them really stand out as a WR1. And as far as the Seahawks go, sure, why not? Yeah, all of it. Bills have been really bad versus the run. Why not some Kenny Walker at home? So there are some spots here to attack for show. Let's see here. Broncos at home taking on the Panthers. Defensive battle, right? The Panthers kind of falling apart. Dalton, the magic is wearing off a little bit. So be careful there. Maybe a little bit of Javonte Williams action if he's priced right on Denver. Maybe we'll consider even one of these pass catchers. Probably not. Chicago at the Commanders. The Bears. Good spot for the Bears. They catch the command. As of this recording, it's not clear if Jaden Daniels is going to play. Right? I think that does change this game around a little bit, but Chicago's got a really good defense regardless. And more importantly, the Chicago offense has been extremely exciting lately between Swift, Caleb, some of those pass catchers. I don't know if I want to super trust the pass catchers, but I do like Caleb as sort of a tournament stack with random 2 pass catchers from his team, including Swift as part of that. Certainly Swift as a standalone player is interesting as well. I'll probably avoid Washington, certainly early in the week without knowing who's playing or who's healthy and whatever. But, that's a spot to be wary of. Finally, we got KC at the Raiders. And this, to me, stands out as, the Raiders are kind of also in a lot of trouble here. Injuries galore. I don't even know who their wide receivers are. Myers has been out. AOC gets hurt last week. We're back to maybe Gardner Minshew. I don't know. So it's going to be a Kansas City defense smash spot. Probably Kareem Hunt here is the guy that stands out the most from Kansas City. So with that being said, let's get into the breakdown. We're going to go position by position here on DraftKings, and we're going to talk through all these spots. We're going to pick our favorites, and I will reveal the cheat codes for NFL Week 8. The underpriced team that is going to smash everywhere and everything and everyone. That's right. It's coming in this video. So let's get into it, right? Starting with Lamar Jackson at the very top at Cleveland. If you followed me at all, ever in the past, you know that I don't like Lamar in non-competitive game environments. Let me show you what he does in a competitive game environment. He goes crazy, 41-31, put up monster numbers. This game wasn't even that competitive, to be honest. They were just styling out there. So, more props to Lamar for getting that done. And Lamar's great. He's been great this year. But against Cleveland, Cleveland's a dead team. This is going to be no offense at all out of Cleveland, in my opinion. And that doesn't bode well for Lammy Jacks. So I'm going to stay away from the most expensive quarterback on the slate in a negative game environment for him. And instead, we will pay attention to Derrick Henry. All right. Josh Allen, yes, absolutely. At Seattle against the team that can score with Amari Cooper, love him. Absolutely love him. Jalen Hurts, yes, hell yeah. At Cincinnati, again, similar situation to Josh Allen. This is a game and team to target. Now, we could target either side of it. We can get paid with Burrow and his guys. We can get paid with Jalen and his guys. That's a game we're going to be building around left, right, up, down, every which way. So let's keep that one in mind. Jane Daniels, unclear if he will play. Even if he did play, this is probably, I think you could always play Jaden Daniels. I don't think he's someone who's going to be super affected by matchups. But, it is noteworthy. If he does play here, Chicago is a tough matchup. Jordan Love, also great spot, high team total. Nothing not to like about that. A little spendy at 7,100, but overall, Jordan Love, very, very much a solid playable spot. He's got the 34 in there, the 26 coming off an acceptable 19 last week. He's a little overpriced for his style of play. So my goal, I think Jordan Love is like a 25-pointer, and there's a few of these guys that I think can get us that kind of score. Joe Burrow, same thing. Really no difference. I will give the Eagles a little bit of credit here. Their defense is playing a little bit better, but that's just going to make, if their offense is playing well, it's just going to have Burrow answering. So I really love this game. This is 1-2 target. Burrow's easy to stack. Higgins and Jamar Chase, super easy to stack. So a little expensive on the stack, but very easy to pull it off. Because you know who he's throwing it to. And I like quarterbacks like that. I like where you know where the football's going. Although, every now and again, you think you know where the football's going, and then you don't. CJ Stroud at the home against the Colts. A little bounce back spot for Stroud. How does he get a 5 in a win? Or not a win, but a close loss. But they put up points. But, a 5, bro? Come on. CJ Stroud not getting it done this year the way he did last year. That'll turn around at some point. Mahomes, no. Mayfield, no. That's it. The Mayfield bus has sailed. No more Godwin. No more Evans. Not this week. Baker Mayfield just is not going to project well in spots like this. They're going to have to lean heavy on the run, but we will play some of those backup wide receivers. Let's keep that in mind. Right, Jared Goff against the Titans, no. Right, Kyler Murray, never somebody I'm super excited about playing, but okay. Cousins, probably not. Again, bad situation for Tampa, and so I don't think Atlanta's going to need to answer that strong. But one of the first guys that stand out, we're going to try to pay down, as usual, at quarterback on this video. Now, again, let's not forget that we have identified, because I want to be very clear, we've identified Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, all really good pay-up options. Those are the guys that I'd be on. Allen, Hurts, Burrow, maybe some Jordan Love, right? So all 4 of these, really good spots, I'd be down. Right? I don't really care for this group. And then we get to the 6K guys. Now, I like to try to pay down at quarterback on these videos because those are the quarterbacks. When you pay down at quarterback in DFS and they smash, you're gaining a much, much bigger edge on the field compared to if you just pay for the highest price quarterback or the second highest, and they smash. And I'm going to explain. A 30 from Josh Allen. That's great. Okay, thank you very much. Right? Wonderful. But he's 7,800. Now, let's say I get the same 30 out of Caleb Williams. Now, you might say, well, he's less likely to put up 30 most weeks. Sure, he is. But if I do get it, I have so much more leverage on the field compared to the expensive quarterback that smashes. The same thing happens across all DFS tournaments. On the Monday night slate, as an example, it was very obvious to play, certain running backs, Derrick Henry and all this. You're not really gaining any leverage on the field by doing that. But when you go extra heavy on someone, let's say like Justice Hill, who's going to be 6% owned, and he ends up smashing for 18, 20 fantasy points, like you get that miraculous game out of the low-owned turd. That's what gives you leverage on the field. So at the quarterback position, it's really just about finding the most points with a cheaper name in terms of getting you leverage to help win a big tournament. Flip side is in a cash game or in any kind of like smaller contest that's not really a tournament, not super large, where maybe you put a little more risk on it in terms of the dollar amount, and there's fewer entrants into the contest. In those situations, or in like multipliers as an example, you really just want to lock in the points. So if you feel a really confident, hey, I'm super confident that Jalen Hurts is going to smash in this matchup, all right, you can pay up for it and it's fine, right? And you get your 25, you lock in the points. But if we're trying to win a big tournament, I do think there is significant advantage to finding a pay down quarterback that gets you leverage on the field, which is why I like to target them in these videos. Plus, it's early in the week, and usually we don't have as much information in terms of punt plays and cheap salary savers to help complete a full lineup. Now, with that being said, we have some of that this week. So we could build however we want. But I wanted to just sort of cover that and explain why it's so important at the QB position to get leverage on the field by trying to find the cheaper options that can pop off. All right. So continuing on here, we're down in the 6K range. This is the golden range, so to speak. And a couple of names here. First of all, Tua. Tua's coming back this week. All the pieces on Miami are effectively underpriced. And all the stack partners, Arizona, the kind of team you want to attack with opposing offenses. Yes, did they hold down the Chargers on Monday Night Football defensively? Sure, but they really actually didn't. The Chargers just play that way. They play slow. They play boring. This is Miami. They're at home. They're going to be fired up. Tua coming back from the injury. Could Tua be a little bit rusty coming off having not played for a few weeks? I think, yeah, that's definitely a possibility. But the other possibility is he comes in and it was just a concussion and he's feeling better for weeks and he'll be fine. I do hope that Tua will wear the concussion helmet going forward. I really hope for his sake, the player's sake, that he does that. But for our sake, we don't care. We're trying to win money playing DFS. And I have no problem plugging in Tua at home against Arizona in this matchup. Again, back to the team total, 25.25. That is a solid team total. The biggest challenge, I think, for Tua will be just the running backs getting the touchdowns. So that is challenging, and we'll have to, that'll be a consideration for us. Continuing on here, some other names that would be of interest. Caleb Williams, certainly very exciting play. And I think I like him even more than Tua probably at Washington. He's not the easiest quarterback to figure out who to stack him with. So there's that. But as far as Caleb himself goes, look at these scores, 29, 26, 6K. This is the leverage that wins you a tournament. So again, a 29 from Caleb is worth much, much more than a 25 from Jalen Hurts or someone like that, right? So if we have to pay up to 7,500, like Josh Allen would be probably my pick up top over here, right? Josh Allen's the man. So it would probably be Josh Allen if we had to pay up. But the question is, can I get a similar score? Can I find a similar score from a 6K player, right? So yes, Josh Allen, certainly the best QB on the slate, just in a bubble. But can I find a score like that from Caleb or Gino on the other side of that game? I mean, Gino hasn't really been getting it done, but he hasn't been bad. He's kind of hanging around this 20-point zone. And for 6K, you really need about a 24 to feel good about it. Again, always think about 4 times or how many times the salary, the potential scoring could be. So a 30 from Josh Allen at 8K is 8, 16, 24, 32. It's just about 4X. He needs a 30. A 30 from Caleb Williams is a 5X, and that's an exponential increase in the multiplier. So keep that in mind as you are building your lineups this week. So Geno Smith playable. Not my favorite. Anthony Richardson, man, I think it's time to throw in the towel, guys. I think it's just we're going to keep taking shots in tournaments, I guess, but this is a towel throw-in situation until further notice. Some other possible names here. I'll throw Bo Nix in the mix as certainly playable. Not so much based on like Bo Nix and his game, but this matchup is too good to pass up. Maybe they'll let Nix style a little bit in this one. And again, 5,600. Yeah, Bo Nix stinks. I get it. He doesn't actually stink. His team doesn't score a lot. Carolina probably not going to put up much resistance. I'm certainly excited about Denver defense in that game. But I think Bo Nix is playable. Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. Scrolling all the way down here. So the QB I'm going to go with this week is Tua. You know what? I'll plug in Caleb. Should I go with Tua? Yeah. I'll go Caleb or Tua here. You know what? I'm going to go back to Tua because I like the way the stacks build, but there's certainly arguments for him getting vultured by his running back, so I'm going to be careful about that. All right. Let's move on to the running back position. NFL Week 8. Right? So at the very top, we've got Saquon Barkley, continues to smash, averaging almost 24 points per game. These guys have all been spectacular at the top here. I love them all. Barkley, very playable against Cincinnati. Go right back to it, for sure. Derrick Henry, also Baltimore in a smash spot here. So it's just really a question of how much Derrick Henry will they allow to stomp his boot on the throats of the Browns in this game. But yeah, I mean, very much in play. I think Kenny Walker's a great spot at 7,800. Look at what Kenny Walker's been doing. 23, 20, 33, 21. I mean, the guy has been consistent. He gets a ton of use. Gotta love it. What I would like to see is more volume, but you see he'll get a spike in targets in games where they need him more. So 2 8-target games. There's a 5-target game. Most recently, he still got you 24 points this past weekend. Even though they didn't throw to him as frequently, they didn't need him as much. So Kenny Walker crushing. Mixon is almost a must play here as well. Look at these prices. I mean, they jacked up the price points on these running backs. Mixon, look at all that volume. He gets the best possible matchup this week against the Colts. Sieve of a run defense. So bad, right? So bad. Kamara, no, right? The Rattlesnake, they're not scoring enough. So that's a no. Jahmyr Gibbs at 7,400. I just think he's a little too close to this more studly group. For as much as whenever Monty is in there, I'm not excited about Gibbs, or I'm less excited about him. Then more great running back goodness here. It's too much. I'm overwhelmed by the RB studliness on this slate. I mean, come on. Breece Hall got it 29 points on just 12 carries, got a bunch of targets last week as well. The Jets are about to smash the Patriots, and Breece Hall could wind up easily with 2 touchdowns in this game for 7,300. It's crazy. It's too good. Bijan, hell yeah. Also at Tampa. Tampa sort of a team in some difficulties right now. Offensively, they're going to have a hard time holding on to the football with no wide receivers really to throw to. So yes, Bijan. Look at all these great running backs. It's just a great pay up at running back kind of a week. In order to make it work, we're going to have to find some bargains, but they keep coming. I think Cook is playable. Again, less good than these other ones. Dobbins probably not where I'm going here, although he's fine too, but just these other ones are so much more inviting. Chalky Chuba, that's a no against Denver. This is time to pass on Chalky Chuba, or he won't be chalky this week, but on Chuba. Jacobs at Jacksonville, playable. Connor at Miami, not super exciting. Pollard is a no. Brian Robinson Jr., probably not. David Montgomery, maybe. So, yeah, but Kareem. I mean, there's great paydown options. Look at these great paydown options. So I just identified these are studs. Barkley, Henry, Walker, Mixon. Hell yeah, right? One of these. Gonna crush it. Absolutely gonna crush this week. But then we move down to the 6K level and we got a whole other bunch of studs, right? And even Brian Robinson Jr. is playable, although, again, Chicago defense, not necessarily one I want to trifle with. So instead, give me some Kareem Hunt. Yes, please, right? This guy's getting crazy volume. People are just ignoring it as if it's not happening. No, it is happening. It's real. Kareem Hunt is the man. Trade for him. Pacheco will be back. Kareem Hunt is going to smash until Pacheco comes back. They are just giving him the carries. Tanks Bigsby now starting for the Jaguars. Look at all that volume. The Jaguars finally kind of seem to have figured it out. I don't trust them with it, but he's not my favorite. I like Hunt more. I like Swift, right? Swift is getting targets. He's getting touches. He's got a spectacular matchup. Hell yeah, going to Swift. And then the best of them all, Devon Achane, 6,200. Are you serious right now? Right? Oh, he hasn't been good the last few weeks, Kev. You know what this coincides with? Tua going out. When Tua was playing, this guy was going nuts. So we are pairing him up with his quarterback, Tua, because the value is just there on the price. 6,200 is ridiculous, right? We could play another one of these guys. I'll go with Kareem. And again, don't say, Kevin, you said not to play. You said not to play Henry, Barkley, Walker, Mixon. No, I didn't. I said to play them. They are awesome plays as well. Great pay-ups at running back up top, but also great pay-down options. We're going to keep looking through these running backs, though, and just kind of talk them through here. Javonte Williams, yeah, he can be played again. I mean, this guy is turning into somebody who's a useful fantasy football piece. 26-pointer last week. I don't like chasing that. It just happened last week, but the matchup is just as good. It's just as good of a spot. Ramondre, no. Mostert, maybe, right? Mostert, in this kind of a game, if Tua is failing, it's probably because both Achane and Mostert are tearing it up. So I think Mostert is playable, not somebody I'm excited about. I certainly prefer Achane for 200 more or 300 more. It's not even close. Bucky Irving coming off of a monster game, really. Both Bucky Irving and Rachaad White went crazy against the Ravens. But it's important to also note that was just a crazy game. I don't think that's going to continue. So it's going to be tough. What is very noteworthy, even though Rachaad White outscored him, is they both got about the same number of carries and touches. So be careful of those two. They seem to be in a split at this point going forward. Going through the rest of the running back group, there's really no one here that stands out for me. So let's jump over to defense here. You know how I like to do it. We get our cheapies in there. We'll go defense, tight end, and then clean it up with the wide receiver group. So defense, I mentioned at the outset of this video that, where are we here? Yeah. I mentioned at the onset that there are some defenses to target. There's some really good ones. They're in such good spots that I'm actually going to pay up to get them. So let's start at the bottom, because the first thing I usually like to try to identify is what I call the cheapest viable defense. So Titans, no. Panthers, no. Jaguars, no. Browns, no. Raiders, no. Seattle, no. Patriots, no. Atlanta Falcons, maybe. Now, why are they a maybe? Because Tampa lost all their wide receivers, so they're going to struggle a little bit on offense. Saints, no. Colts, no. Chicago, maybe. Again, Jaden Daniels, is he hurt? Is he going to play this week? Probably will play, but maybe not. I don't know. So Chicago, really, really good defense. If Jaden Daniels is out, this is our cheapest viable defense and one that I'll have a ton of. But chances are Jaden will play and will not be able to do that. So that'll be a no if Jaden plays, even though Chicago defense is good enough to even play them with Jaden in there, but I'm not going to do it. Right? Tampa, no. Cincinnati, no. Washington, no. Arizona, no. Buffalo, no. Right? No good. No good. Arizona, Miami, no. Colts at Houston, maybe. Right? Colts are terrible. Why not? Anthony Richardson, turnover machine. Why not? Eagles, no. Packers, probably not. On the road, if this was a home game, I'd be interested somewhat. Yeah, I think we can play the Packers a little bit. Yeah, so I'm going to say yes to that. But the standout defense on this slate, the Chargers, going up against the Rattlesnake. The Rattler is going to throw interceptions, is going to be a mess out there. Chargers defense, really good. So this is a defense I'm willing to pay up for this week. But wait, there's more. If we get Ravens against DTR or Jameis Winston, I'm interested at 3,400. Jets against the rookie quarterback. Sure, interesting. All right, not as good as Chargers against the Rattlesnake, but interesting. Chiefs can be used. And then, of course, the best one of them all, probably Lions at home against the Titans, assuming that they bring back, Levis. Levis is the gift that keeps on giving. He is a turnover machine. And I also think Broncos at home against Carolina have some upside. But the team we will be targeting here for defense are the Chargers. The Rattlesnake, not very good, right? He's going to throw interceptions. He's going to be a mess. Okay, tight end position, and then we'll bring it around to the wide receivers. So starting at the very, very top. And we're going to declare some players dead to me here. So Brock Bowers continues to actually smash in his role. And if you have 6,100 available to you, I strongly suggest just trying to play him. There's no other wide receivers on the team. He's gotten 14, 10, and 12 targets. This should not be ignored. These are numbers of a WR1 that would be, 7,500 or higher. Now, obviously, there's some issues with who the quarterbacks are and all this stuff. But in general, Brock Bowers has been a beast. And now with no wide receivers on the team that are healthy, even better for him. He's just going to keep getting peppered. So if we can afford him, yes. Travis Kelce, I think we've learned that Travis Kelce is a fucking turd, and he's more interested in poking Pfizer shots in his arm than he is at being good at football and hanging out with T-Swizz. He's just not good. Enough. I'm sick of him. I'm sick of it. Done with him. No Kelce. Trey McBride, no. Too much money. It's fine. He gets his targets. He's always good, but where are the great games, right? I guess it's just not worth paying up for it. David Njoku, though, maybe. Now, probably not, but I get maybe if it was Jameis Winston, I'd have some interest there. I don't think DTR is somebody that I'm going to be excited about, but we did have a great game. David Njoku was our core tight end last week, and of course that worked out really well. More of the same. There's no wide receivers on the team. He's just going to keep getting targets. But I have a hard time like DTR getting excited about that one. Evan Ingram, yes. He only 5 targets last week. A big game for Jacksonville, and it didn't help Ingram that much. Don't care. Ingram is a stud, and he's somebody that should be in our lineups. Kincaid, again, he's proven he's probably not necessarily, this is who he is. He is this guy. He is 5 to 7 targets, Kincaid. It just doesn't go more than that. He needs a touchdown more often than not to be interesting. He's only got 1 touchdown on the season. This has been a guy that you've been disappointed in. But I like Josh Allen, and the price has come down to a more reasonable level. So fine, right? Sam Laporta, one of these days he's going to pop, but he's just not doing it right now. 2 targets, 1 target, 4, 2, 3. These numbers are horrifying. And, until that changes, I mean, I guess we're going to keep going to it, but not me. I'd rather pay down. I'd rather save the monies. Cole Kmet, I think, is playable. If we did a Caleb lineup, and I don't mind it, I could switch it. I'd probably, Kmet is one of the guys that I think I'd be interested in. Kmet has put up big numbers, and, he's been one of my favorite tight ends for the last few years. Sure, why not? 4,700? Yeah, okay. Tucker Kraft is fine with with your Jordan Love lineups, standalone play, maybe, possibly. Kyle Pitts, though. Kyle Pitts is getting it done week after week after week. He has started to become a thing. The big scores aren't there, but the targets, the volume, it's looking pretty good. And again, I don't think he is what he was sold to be coming out of the draft. I don't know that he's this amazing, dynamic, historical great tight end. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty confident he's not that. But he seems competent enough, and you don't need to be that greatest at a tight end. You just have to be able to catch the ball and run kind of fast, and you should be able to be successful at times. So I think Kyle Pitts is playable. Likely is okay. Andrew's okay. Hunter Henry, if this wasn't the Jets, I do really think that Hunter Henry is probably the best, or if he's not one, he's one of the best tight end plays on the slate. Just they're going to keep throwing it to him. Rookie quarterbacks do like to lean on the tight end position. Hunter Henry coming off a pretty nice game at Jacksonville. I think he will continue to be peppered with targets. And if there's a weakness in that Jets defense, it's probably the tight end position. So I do see Henry catching a bunch of balls this week. Fant is okay. Jonnu, no. Cade Otton. You know what happens when Mike Evans and Godwin go down? They're kind of forced to throw it to Cade Otton. Baker Mayfield is still there, so I think this is the Cade Otton week. He's just almost forced to get 5+ targets in this game, because who else are they going to throw to? So for me, Cade Otton is going to be the guy we plug in. We're going to save some salary. We're going to leave ourselves plenty of room, averaging $6K left for the wide receiver position, and wait till you see some of the wide receiver bargains that we're going to identify. We don't even need the bargains. We can play the expensive guys. As a matter of fact, at the end of this lineup, I'm going to show some interesting ways that we could fully change it around, because there's almost too much value this week. It's getting crazy here. It's getting crazy. So very top, Jamar Chase, yes, right? Play him. He's my pay up option. I don't mind Brown as well. Chase Brown. I'll probably avoid Amon-Ra in this matchup. I don't think Detroit necessarily will need him. So for me, it's Chase and AJ Brown. Chase, when he gets only 6 targets, he's only getting you 12. But when he gets 12 targets, he's getting you, or he gets you 15. You get 12 targets, you're getting 30 to 40. So when his targets spike, we get spike games out of Jamar Chase. I don't really understand why they've been targeting T. Higgins more lately, but when Chase gets his spike game, his upside is unlike anyone else. AJ Brown rarely gets that kind of spike, but he rarely needs it. So he's putting up big numbers as well most weeks. He's healthy. We know that Jalen Hurts needs AJ Brown. So depending if I was building a Burrow lineup, a Hurts lineup, but I think both of these are great standalone plays. I'd lean Chase over Brown as a standalone, but they're both really, really good. No Collins, no Godwin. Diggs, I don't know. Has he really proven that he's a 7,500 salary type of player? I'm going to say no. At 7,500, 728, you're looking at like 30 fantasy points to justify this price, or sort of an average of 20. He's not averaging that. He's averaging 15. So he's a little bit below what I think should be here. But with that being said, this is a great matchup. Colts, terrible defense. So Diggs can definitely get it done. It's going to be surprising, though. I'll probably save it for my CJ Stroud type lineups. Drake London has been fine, but the upside hasn't been amazing. I think Devontae Adams is very playable. Again, we can keep going back to that. But the guy who stands out the most, of course, is Tyreek Hill at 7K. And this is just a misprice by DraftKings, guys. This is the misprice that I was talking about. You could go back years with Tyreek Hill and Tua. They're an incredible pair. They produce massive points. This is just a massive error on DraftKings' part where they priced Tyreek Hill. And we're going to take advantage. A lot of people are going to say, oh, don't play it. He's going to be too chalky. And I get it. And we'll talk about game theory approaches later in the week and on tournament tactics and in situations like that. But just on the baseline, Tyreek Hill is just underpriced by, I don't know, 2K. He should be the most expensive wide receiver on the slate, and he's not. So it's hard to turn it down. We go to the ShopRite. The filet mignon's on sale. I'm going to buy filet mignon. You know what I mean? I'm buying it. We're having filet. And that's what Tyreek Hill is. He's filet. Prime filet. Fucking prime filet. Pat LaFrida prime filet. That's how good that Tyreek Hill is. McLaurin, no. Flowers, probably not. Harrison, no. Wilson, sure, right? Okay. Everybody kind of playing Devontae. I think that's playable. Reed, GPP. Jaden Reed is a GPP classic only type of player. What is a GPP? This is a tournament play, right? You put a player like this in big tournaments. Every once in a while, he's going to pop for 30. But, he doesn't get enough volume to rely on. So he never gets really, I mean, if you look at his history, he's averaging 6 targets per game. That is not enough for a 7K player. His price is coming down correctly. It's been overpriced. Look at volume, guys. Volume is king. So when the volume isn't there, these guys, yes, they can pop off every once in a while, but you're relying on some extreme variance for that to work out. Like this game here with DJ Moore, where he only got 8 targets, but he put up 30. That has been the case with actually a lot of the Bears wide receivers. The volume hasn't necessarily been there, but they've been popping for big numbers. So it's tough to trust any one of them. DK Metcalf, very much, very good spot. I like DK here. Yeah, he's a touchdown scorer. He's their big play guy, so I like that. T. Higgins has been getting more volume than Jamar Chase in this offense, and he's really starting to be a force to be reckoned with. So I don't mind T. Higgins at 6,500 at all. I've been a T. Higgins hater, been a hater in the past, but I'm coming around. But the guy I'm going back to here for my second wide receiver in this lineup is Tank Dell, T-Dell. Why am I going back to Tank? Well, he had a terrible week last week. Yes, he did. But I just don't think that's a thing that's going to continue. I mean, 0 for 4, that was nuts, right? He dropped a touchdown as well, or almost had a touchdown in the game, but it was just a disaster for Tank Dell last week. And I think a lot of people are going to get away from that. They're not going to jump back to it. They don't like to feel the pain. I like the pain. I embrace the pain. You ever see those people? I feel like DFS, for me, going back to player, you see people, they get a lot of tattoos, right? And then you ask them, why are you getting so many tattoos? And they eventually find out they actually enjoy the pain of getting the tattoo. They're like, oh yeah, I love that. They're addicted to tattoos also, but primarily they like the pain. Well, I don't like tattoo pain, but I do like the pain of going back and clicking on the button of somebody who burned me last week. And oh, it hurts so much to go back. He gave me a 0. He ruined my lineups. Why do we like the pain? Don't know. But I'm going right back to it. It doesn't change a thing. All it does when they come off a 0 is, reduce their ownership for the next week. That was a tough game for the Texans last week. I'm not sure that they're going to need to be throwing a ton. I like Mixon even more in this one. But, I don't mind going back to Tank Dell there. Let's see. Who else? Jack Smith and Jigba, okay. Pittman, no. Cooper, yeah, I guess. Definitely Cooper with my Josh Allen lineups, which I will have a lot. Cooper, it's really important to understand. Cooper only ran like 13 routes last week. He was not on the field for most of the game. But when he did go out there, they threw it to him, and that is a good sign. So I'll take it. I think Cooper's going to be a stud. I think we could plug him into our lineup as well. We could make a lineup, and we could switch it and have a Josh Allen Cooper lineup. And like another way to build this, and I really love it, you take out, if I took out Dell and I put in Josh Allen at quarterback, and again, I talked a lot about why I think it's better to pay down, but it would at quarterback. But if we did this, it is very affordable and it's no problem. We're going to identify a couple of super cheap wide receivers that could go, that could make this kind of a lineup work. But the difference is, if we do the same thing, but we pay down at wide receiver, at quarterback, and again, just theoretically and philosophically, we pay down at quarterback, then the last spot that we fill in can be one of these super stud running backs at the very top, because we can now go and pluck another underpriced wide receiver, of which there are a ton. So let's get into those guys here as we go sub 6K at the wide receiver group. Yeah, Jameson Williams, okay. Shakir, okay. Keenan Allen is fine. On Chicago, you never know which of the Chicago wide receivers are getting it done. Again, they all seem to get 5 or 6 targets. It's not a great scene from a reliability standpoint. It's part of one of the reasons why I'm probably not building around Caleb for this particular. I will have a ton of Caleb lineups, but I want to MME it, like I do here. Where was it? I want to MME that thing and make sure I get enough iterations of it so that, I'll have one with Keenan, I'll have one with DJ Moore, I'll have one even with Dunze. Like, you want to mix those up in Komet. So I'll be double stacking Caleb in those lineups, right? But it's I can't pick one guy for this lineup, so I'm going with a surer situation. By the way, I wouldn't even mind naked Caleb in a lineup like this. Like, actually, I'm kind of intrigued by it in a high dollar lineup because I don't think Tua has much upside. But if we actually went, you know what? I'm going to do it. Let's go naked Caleb in this lineup. Just get weird. We're getting freaky. We're getting eyes wide shut with this one. Naked Caleb. You know what? Naked QB has been winning. It's won before. I'm switching it. Was wanting to switch it before. I'm switching it. Love Caleb. He's naked out there. Or, pair him up. But for this lineup, we'll probably run him naked. Naked quarterback means an unstacked quarterback, by the way, just to be clear. And so I do like you to hit me in the messages, though, and ask me those questions. But I'm getting to it ahead of it. Naked QB means you're running a quarterback out there without a stack. So I'm good with it because technically we got Hill, we got Achane. You got a Miami team that can get vultured a little bit. We've already got our bargain. So why not play a higher upside quarterback? I'm cool with it. I probably like this spot better for Caleb if I knew Jaden Daniels was playing. If Jaden Daniels is out, I might switch back off of this again because I want competitive game environments if possible. All right. I actually think we'll end up going just paying for when it comes down to late week. I think I'm going to end up just paying for Josh Allen or something like that because he's so good as well. But let's digress here. Wide receiver group, we are sub 5K. Romeo Doubs, again, overpriced, but, he's getting the volume. He's that guy getting the volume for his team all of a sudden. Will that continue? I don't know. 10 targets last week. He had the big game the week before. What's this about? I don't really know. I just think it changes every week with Green Bay. It's tough to predict. Christian Kirk has been as disappointing of a player as you could really think about. The targets really have not been there, but for those 2 weeks. So tough to trust him. I do think it's probably a matchup favoring him with where they're finally going to have elite quarterback play on Brian Thomas Jr., which should open things up for Kirk in that one. Downs, no. Waddle at 5,400, guys. Now, if we had Tua here, we could just double stack it. Waddle is also massively underpriced for his role. Arizona needs to put up a fight. I'm not going to do this one because I want to kind of stud up with this last spot here, but this is not bad. If we went to Tua, Hill, Waddle, and Achane, a crazy overstack, I mean, certainly something that is a viable approach. It's something I don't mind at all. I think Waddle is massively underpriced at 5,400. This is a misprice. Go right back to it. The only negative, again, Tua with two of his guys is great unless the running backs take it over, right? So, but I don't mind this approach for a lineup this week with Waddle and Hill because they're both so massively underpriced. I think they'll be high owned, but it doesn't matter. Again, let's go back to earlier in the season. Yeah, he had a couple of decent games with Tua. He hasn't been very good at all, but Tua hasn't been there too much. But we aren't doing this. We switched it up. So, I'm just showing that is very much in play and something I will be doing lineups. It is an approach I will be using this week. Let's put it that way. Continuing down the list here, Wicks had some targets last week. I got a touchdown in there, but again, we see the constant plague of too many wide receivers on the Packers to feed. There's just too many of them. Let's make our way under the 5K zone here and see who pops. Michael Wilson, not really. Jerry Jeudy, no. Lazard, no. Douglas, no. Wilson Jr. had the big week last week. Can't deny that, but I don't trust the rattlesnake at all. But he is kind of a bargain, I guess. A playable bargain. But let's get to our backup wide receivers from the Bucs who are thrust into a starting role. My favorite of which is Sterling Shepard. Did not do much this past week. It's concerning, actually, but the week before, Shepard was heavily involved. The other name is Jalen McMillan, 8 targets. So why did the targets go to McMillan and not Shepard last week? That's the stuff that we're going to kind of vet out over the course of this week as we do our research and really dive into these games. That's not the important part. The important part is these guys are going to get targets. I mean, they're the only healthy wide receivers on the team. So I'm going to plug in Sterling Shepard with a nod to the fact that Jalen McMillan is the same or a better play even I'm just not really sure between these two. I'm a little nervous about Sterling Shepard just in the fact that he's off to injured. But what I do like about Sterling is, I don't know why, but they gave him a bunch of carries a couple of weeks ago. It's almost like they have a package for this guy. So it'll be between Shepard and McMillan for me for sort of this spot in this lineup. But paying down gets us 7,900 here for the flex. So let's see what's available at that price. Can we get a stud running back? Yes, we can. So we've got Mixon and Walker available for this last spot. And I told you guys, I want one of these guys in the lineup if I can. So let's plug in Joe Mixon. He ain't a crook, son. He ain't Joe Midson. No. Take away the Midson name. He's Joe Mixon. Guy's been crushing it. 25 carries, 2 targets last week. Didn't take but 13 carries to get it done at New England. And this game is much more like the New England game where they're taking on a dead defense, a Colts defense that cannot stop the run. So this is your final lineup here. Naked Caleb Williams could easily be swapped in for Tua or one of those guys, but we are going naked. Caleb, we're going streaking. Old school. We're going streaking old school with Caleb Williams. We've taken the Miami bargains, Devon Achane and Tyreek Hill, underpriced, mistakenly priced players, and we're plugging them in. So we're going to get that Miami upside with these 2 players. Don't need the quarterback. Kareem Hunt, a volume machine in a plus matchup for running backs. This is a smash spot for Kareem, the cream, right? Amari Cooper, new stud for Buffalo. Again, other options here include Tank Dell. Sterling Shepard, thrust into a starting role for Tampa. Again, Jalen McMillan, other possibility here. Tampa, going back to Tampa, Cade Otton, got to get those targets with Evans and Godwin on the shelf this week and maybe for the future. Joe Mixon, perfect matchup at home against the Colts. Maybe it's too good. It might be too good. Sometimes it's too good. And that's what this feels like almost too good of a spot for Joe Mixon, but he's been crushing it. So we're plugging him in right there against the dead Colts run defense. And finally, the Chargers defense, an already good defensive team against the Rattlesnake. Spencer Rattler, that is not somebody who is good. So you want to target defenses against that guy. All right, guys, that's going to do it for your DraftKings NFL Week 8 first look. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know who your starting quarterback, wide receiver stack is. Who are you building around? Are you going naked, getting crazy? Are you doing Miami gone wild? Show me your tutties, Miami. How are you doing it? Let me know in the comments, guys. Good luck this week. I will see you all next time.